Question: when dealing with natural gas or, say, perhaps propane, when dealing with the gas logs, a gas hot water heater, etc., certain terms may arise in the industry, and people use certain lingo, and when they use certain lingo, the contractors or the engineers, etc., and it sounds very abstruse, very arcane, and very foreign to the human mind. But a lot of these principles are very simple, and they can be broken down into simple terms. So there's no use to Latinate something that's very simple. Two terms in the natural gas with natural gas, gas logs, wall unit, perhaps a gas hot water heater. Two terms that one may have heard. One is thermopile. Two is thermocouple. We notice the word therm. So if we break this down into two different words, we say therm. My mind goes to heat, temperature, the thermostat, say, for instance, along those lines. So we have thermopile, thermocouple. Okay, in many gas logs in years past, they used, or even perhaps, I'm not sure, in the gas hot water heaters, they used a thermocouple. So these terms sound very similar. So what are the differences? Actually, there's not a lot of differences. But to clarify the differences, we will first take a thermopile. When we have a thermopile here, we have a thing that goes out. Just assume this gas valve sitting on a hot water heater here, for instance. This thermopile goes out. It has a little rod that goes in here. There's a flame, and it's nothing more than literally a flame when you light the pilot. Once the pilot's lit, it heats this. When it heats this, it goes down and allows the gas valve to stay open. Once the temperature is satisfied, flame goes out, closes the gas valve to keep the gas from pumping into the house and walking in and getting a good whiff of that, which may stunt the brain cells. So, notwithstanding, so the thermopile. Okay, so if we actually had one, if we looked at the end, it's actually kind of larger and a little bit wider and maybe more rotund than on the end. So what it does, it produces about 700 millivolts DC. It converts the heat, the temperature into voltage, DC voltage, into about 750. So this gives it ample, maybe if it's, I'm not sure if it does the computer board. I'll have to do some research on that. It may energize the computer board. And a lady asked me when I was putting a hot water heater in, she says, well, where does the batteries go? And I said, well, there is no batteries. And we were in such a thing after this hurricane that when the hot water heater had become flooded, that it was difficult for me to break down in a few minutes because I was in a hasty mood to get the hot water heater in versus sitting here trying to explain theory to her, though I kind of understand it myself. And her question was very valid. So where are the batteries? Well, there are no batteries, or perhaps there may be or may not be, but generally speaking, they may not be. But this flame heats this up, creates 700 millivolts. This is a thermopile. Now, a thermopile, from my understanding, is a combination of several thermocouples. So now we go over here to a thermocouple, and we notice the end of the rod is skinnier than the end of this rod. So therefore, it does essentially the same thing. The flame hits the end of this, heats it up, goes here, creates a DC voltage. and allows the gas valve to stay open, or minus the flame allows it to close. So what voltage does a thermocouple produce? A thermocouple produces around the range for some of these maybe gas logs and just residential use kicking it around, maybe about 30 millivolts. So we look Thermopile 750 millivolts, Thermocouple 30 millivolts. So now let's rehash. What are the differences between the Thermopile and the Thermocouple? The Thermopile, I've heard, is several thermocouples, but the end of it, the function would be the same, but the end of this would be larger. It may be 2 or 3 of these stacked together, which allows, I guess, to create more voltage. So basically, the theory is the same in my opinion, between the Thermopile and the Thermocouple, but the Thermopile, Pile, just think of a big pile that goes high in the sky, so it would be larger, and like a big mound of dirt or something, a pile of dirt, which would be larger. And then, so anyway, this heats this up, and this gives us 750. The Thermocouple, notice the last words on these. Okay, you got Thermocouple, skinnier on the end, creates 30 volts. So again, let's rehash one more time. Thermopile creates more voltage. Thermopile is the end is larger. Thermocouple creates less voltage. The end is skinnier. So the question, could you interchange these? That's a question beyond my pay grade at this point, but whatever comes out of your unit, it should be going back in, because the designers, engineers, and manufacturers have manufactured it to work accordingly. So if you pull something out that's a thermocouple, a 30 millivolt thermocouple, my opinion is it would be good to go back in there with the exact 30 amp millivolt thermocouple. And likewise on the Thermopile, if the Thermopile is a 750 millivolt Thermopile, perhaps that might not be a bad idea to go back in with the, so you dealing with apples and apples and oranges and oranges. So Thermopile creates more voltage, Thermocouple creates less voltage. Essentially, they do the same thing. The Thermopile may be a combination of several thermocouples. Thermopile, 750 millivolts approximately. Thermocouple, 30 millivolts approximately. If you find any of these videos helpful in any small nuggets that may save you time or effort, or may clarify any question marks in your mind, feel free to share and like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.